Right, hey, looks like it started. Okay, so I'm Corporal Vuco. I'm back, and we're going to talk about cannabis for a little bit. So there's two major types of cannabis: cannabis sativa and cannabis indica. Cannabis indica happens to be the best medication for PTSD that I've found. Um, Initially, I was diagnosed with PTSD and a 70% disability. I think a lot of my Gulf War illness were kind of put in there, but either way, it was PTSD with a 70% disability. I got my medical marijuana card. After that, I began using cannabis. Um, there were many sativas and indicas that helped with my overall chronic pain. For the chronic fatigue, there were some sativas that were really good. If I ever do a triathlon again, I would like have a hit during the transitions, like between bike and run and between swim and bike, just because it's sort of like within your endocannabinoid system, it kind of puts you in that meditative, like marathon running state. But I don't want to get too much detail. Actually, one thing I want to do is, if people watch this video and this goes out there, this is just going to blow their mind away. Seriously, it's going to blow your mind. Most people don't know that your body makes cannabinoids. Yeah, the stuff that people smoke off the plant, your body makes it. And most people don't know that. The other thing is, of all the nerve receptors in your body, the the number one type of nerve receptor are your cannabinoid receptors. See, in your body, you have this endocannabinoid system that it regulates all kinds of things, but they really can't know too much about it. And part of that is because cannabis is on Schedule 1, just like LSD and heroin. And I believe that cannabis should be Schedule C. I believe cannabis is so unlike any other drug in that scheduling system. Just the fact that it's a plant, it's been around for 5,000 years. I think there was in 5,000 years, they just had their first overdose. I remember like reading quickly, and that was like a child. So, well, part of the thing with the cannabinoid system, and I'm not a doctor, this is my point of view from the things I've read, is when you are younger, your cannabinoid system's really healthy and hardy, and as you grow older, your body produces less cannabinoids, and your receptors also become less receptive to the cannabinoids. So if you begin smoking cannabis, that would sort of boost it. And from what I could tell, the number one side effect that really worries people, like I guess, okay, one hardliner would be like Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Well, he'd easily point out to it causes schizophrenia, and schizophrenia, that's scary. That's pretty disabilitating. But most of the people that develop schizophrenia are between like 17 and 30 years old. And if you remember what I was just talking about, how you kind of have your endocannabinoid system, well, when you're young and it's working really well, you don't want to put more endocannabinoids in, and that's part of why it's a psychoactive drug. But when you get older, like, the human brain fully develops between 25, 27 years old. Actually, since we're talking ages, like in an ideal world, I think that cannabis should be legalized 55 and older. Medical between like 25 and 55. Well, then below 25, you're still going to have kids that need it, but just a little more scrutiny type medical. Just because, if you have other medications that aren't psychotic that could work for something, then I wouldn't want to put the cannabinoids into the young mind and overload the system. So, but, I'm a centrist, so I'm probably like the only one who can see this, because what's that bias called? Where you see, there's a bias word, and it's my Gulf world, and this isn't allowing me to grab that word right now, but there's a word where you watch something you watch something that you agree with, and then after you watch it, it makes you feel better. And it's some kind of bias. But anyways, as a centrist, some of the things I'm going to say are going to be weird, because it's like I'm using like one paragraph, but you only agree with half of it. But the whole thing's true. So I hope to like open your mind, your eyes a little more, right? Just try and step back, look at the big picture. So So I believe cannabis should be Schedule C. For me personally, I have gone to the VA. So this is, you could look up my VA medical records. I went to the VA and they tested me they gave me 70% disability for PTSD before I got my medical marijuana card. After I got my medical marijuana card, the last psychiatrist I went to, she said, well, she believes my PTSD disability rating should go down to 0. I'm like, oh, so my 1,300 a month's gonna go 0, and it's like, technically, I've been homeless for 2.5 years. I've just been like staying in relatives and here and there, wherever I can, but not bad, What's bad is losing my train of thought because golf for illness won't let me go back to it. I should have had more notes. So I think I was talking about cannabis, various strains, cannabis indica. Most of those strains are like some of the best PTSD medications that I've ever seen. Like for me, when I have hypervigilance, then that really just calms me. Before I got my medical marijuana card, I was a very infrequent user of cannabis. I had this bias in my head that I thought that it made you like slow to learn. So as an engineer, I wouldn't want to do it too much. So I'd only do it like around Christmas time and around like the 4th of July holiday. So that way I figured I'm not polluting my mind and stuff. But it turns out that it really doesn't make you stupid. They did a study where they took kids in college, and you guys probably have to look it up because I'm not going to stay in a study. But anyways, they did a study with kids in college, and it turns out that the ones who fail are the ones that don't show up to class. So if you're not showing up to class for another reason, or if the cannabis is the reason you don't show up to class, then that's why kids on cannabis fail out. But then I think the straight kids versus the cannabis kids, where they both showed up, I think there was like this 1% difference. So there was a slight impediment, but it just isn't the overblown stereotype with dude and what 2 + 1 is 5. I'm saying a lot. That's annoying. I apologize. Oh yeah, if you guys saw the other video with that Elmer guy, he's never seen me without like a cropped haircut or a collared shirt. So if he sees me, he's probably gonna like be looking at it for us. Is that really him? Yeah, it's me. We were both Audi guys. We had the same Audi dealer in Rockford. I was kind of jealous because he was a director, so he could afford the nice car. So I had a brand new Audi A5 black walnut trim, and then of course after I got mine, he shows up one day with the beautiful silver A7. When the first year they had the big hatchback, and of course really loved German engineering, and the performance was amazing. I just really thought it was funny that they were cheating. Who knew? I mean, I swear to God, for me it was great because I could, go from Rockford to visit my parents in Des Plaines, and I'm getting 33 miles to the gallon. But then, I'm sure there's no statute of limitation, but then every single day on my way to work, like everyone would know, I never show up there before 7:20. You're supposed to be at work at 7, but you have a morning meeting between 7:30 and 7:45. So I always show up to work at 7:20. You know why? Beautiful country road. I want to make sure there's nobody in front of me. I had like full-on insurance. I had like 300 in my car. I had $1 million rider, and I knew I wasn't going to hit anybody else. But I figured, in case I roll my car through the grass, the $1 million rider in case he had like super crop or whatever. So I thought I had everything covered, and that's why I don't think I was reckless, But every single day I would hit 100 miles to get to work. And every single day, like, some people, you guys like waiting for the bus and it's raining and shit. Not me. Never. Oh my God. It was so much fun. And then I'm writing a book. First book is, me becoming a Marine, PTSD. I'll tell some stories. And this is going to be one of the spoilers for my book. But what happened was one day, there was one person like arriving late. Everybody else at the nuclear power plant shows up on time, right? I knew I had some flex for the meeting, and I was always staying like 2 hours late anyways. But one day I'm coming up and there's an Acura, and the Acura is going like this. Speed limit's 55 and he's doing like 45. I'm just like, oh man. nice and dry out, and no ice, nothing like that. So he's coming this way. So I'm like, I'm gonna give him the double over the line. I really did this, by the way. And give him the double overpass inside, like the double yellow line, like inside turn. So I went like this, and I flew around him at like 80 miles an hour. Then from there, we still had a couple ways before we got close to the card shack. So it's kind of like I'd go slow over the top of the hill, and then downwise, like, because I don't know who I passed, and I didn't want them to feel insulted, because I wasn't like passing them aggressively. I'm just, enjoying my way to work, like everybody should. So, but then anyways, later on, I'm sitting there after the morning meeting, and I'm just, hey, you guys know who drives a purple Acura? And they're like, oh, it's not the plant manager, it's the guy above him, the executive guy. Anyways, I apologize for that inside pass. It wasn't meant as an insult or anything, just a little fun on the way to work. And hopefully you do that to someone else and have as much fun as I did. But man, I'm jumping from tangent to tangent to tangent. We were talking about cannabis. Yes, I'm medicated right now. Oh, judge me, judge me, judge me. I'm also alive right now. Oh yeah, I don't know if I should say it now. I don't want to spoil it for the book, but today is actually my 9-month anniversary. 9 months ago was my suicide date, and I am still here. And I am still here because I read an article in The Atlantic where there was somebody else with Gulf War illness, exact same symptoms like me. I was getting nowhere with the VA. The pain was just grinding me down every single day. My muscles feel like glue. It's like you have to tear them just to move a few inches. But I was a former Marine NCO, so I had to keep moving. I had to stay alive. I was just sucking up for as long as I could, but I knew that pain was grinding me down. And everyone's talked to friends that are depressed before about, hey man, suicide, a lot of kids, they use it as a long-term solution to short-term problems. Well, you know what? That's very true. Except this Gulf War illness thing, nothing short-term about it. And that pain was starting to win. I'd wake up in the morning, sometimes it's like my pillow top bed, it was like I was encased in concrete. I just have to peel myself out, rip my muscles, and I should leave most of that to the book, because if I tell all those kind of stories, nobody's gonna watch this. But anyways, I hope I get some viewers sooner or later. But yeah, cannabis indica saved my life. So regardless to anything else on the schedule system, just the fact that cannabis indica can prevent suicide in veterans with Gulf War illness. I mean, even if the VA system increased a lot and they were really aware, and you came in, their first question they asked you is, did you serve over there? Were you exposed to dust that was over there? Even if they got that good, the cannabis indica is still going to be the best medication to prevent that man from feeling useless and having no hope and dying. So, anyways, I'm Corporal Vuco, and I'm still here thanks to cannabis indica and to that brave gentleman that wrote his story. He was a civil engineer, I was an electrical engineer. So great story. Thank you for saving my life. I'm going to be posting a lot of videos. Tell your friends if you like my stories. I promise to get funnier anytime I don't talk about the VA healthcare system. And yes, the VA healthcare system is an oxymoron. And yes, I used to be able to communicate very extreme topics to people at all different languages, but I'm kind of stuck with whatever word pops in my mind I'm going to use. So what I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to figure out how to use this thing, and I'm just going to add little subtitles. I thought that'd be kind of fun. So, because earlier I used the word deity, and I was watching it back with my brother, and he's like, deity? I said, yeah, kind of like demigod, or like a human that's godlike. So Marine NCOs, they got that one right away. But okay, I think this other thing. A while ago, I was trying to find out Godspeed, where it came from, what it was. Then I guess it was some translation that kind of slurred over time. So I thought I'd make up my own little poem for it. And yeah, that was the cannabis indica. It makes me poetic. Kill, kill, kill to spewing poetry. Okay, no more suicide jokes. It is better to laugh than it is to cry. And when you read my book, you will laugh, you will cry, you will laugh, cry at the same time. And let me go ahead and let you know ahead of time. My mother taught her children above and beyond anything else just to laugh and have a good time. And there's some events that are going to be shocking during her funeral. I'm going to give you permission right now, during my mother's funeral. I love my mother. During my mother's funeral, when you read about it or if it ever becomes a movie, you can go ahead and laugh. Don't feel guilty, but oh my God, I'm laughing at this man's funeral. Because I was laughing my ass off, and believe me, you're going to laugh. Don't feel bad. My mother would have loved it this way. So Godspeed. I'm Catholic. I'm more spiritual Catholic than hardcore Catholic, but I kind of think that God sort of presents himself to different cultures in different ways. Like, God showed up to the Jews at this time, and to the Christians at this time, and to the Arabs at this time, and because for the most part there's always one God. And even like with the Hindus, how they have all their deities, and Catholics have all their saints. It's like, I think it's like, for me, I'm like this eternal optimist. So I look for similarities, and it's just like there's so much similar there. So if you hear me use the word God, just take it as your own God, or higher power, spiritual being, whatever. Don't go on a tangent. I was making a good point. You know what? I'm going to have my 14-year-old nephew be my redirector and start doing this at a different time. Besides, between this kid's 14, between me and my brother, totally different styles. My brother's brash. I've always been a gentleman, perfect for the Marines, warrior gentleman. Man, this kid's gonna know everything. If I only had that person, right? Anyways, my story's gonna be a good one, and my life's not that bad. I'm gonna get my $3,000 a month in July, but I'm gonna keep on trying to figure out the social media thing until I let those other 400,000 that may or may not get it. I mean, it doesn't look like, from the initial rate of how many guys got it a year, it doesn't really look like it trickled down that slow to where 90% of the 700,000 aren't gonna get it. So, but my voice will be heard, and my story will be funny a lot. Okay, I'm gonna leave you with this one. So, Corporal Vuco's cruising in a Humvee with Gunny P. And, we're sitting there chit-chatting and talking about the buffalo. Camp Pendleton actually has a big herd of buffalo. And I'm cruising. I'm like, hey, Gunny. So, I've never seen a buffalo. Are there any around here? He's like, no, Corporal Vuco, we got them, they're all up, 20 miles up that way. He's like, the whole herd's together. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Hey, Gunny, what do you think you're doing right now? Gunny goes, I don't know, Corporal Vuco. They're probably fucking. Man, he had me rolling as we're riding the car, and the story's gonna be even funnier when you're reading the book. Then we're sitting there cruising along in a Humvee, and all of a sudden it happens, ping, 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 ping. We start seeing tracer rounds going off over our head. Yeah, it was a live fire exercise at midnight on the driving range. Oh my God, I get close to dying a lot in the movie, but yeah, I'm still here. And 9 months after my suicide date. What is that, like happy Sua birthday? I might even celebrate it. All right, Godspeed. In your time at greatest need, may your God speed his way to you.